Windstorm Agnes, a cause for concern this week. A new developing windstorm in the extratropical zone of the Atlantic has been named by the authorities Agnes, and is currently at 39.8 degrees north, 49.7 degrees west, placing it over the far North Atlantic. It is expected to move on towards the east and go on to strike the British Isles in the next few days. At 2 p.m. this Monday, September 25th, it had winds of 35 miles per hour sustained with an estimated pressure of 10-11 millibars, moving nearly due east at 45 miles per hour roughly, and that speed is expected to maintain for some time. It will gradually curve towards the northeast as it passes the Azores, but here it is right now, still very far away from any land interests, but it is of course a fast mover. No storm force winds emanating from this system yet. 35 miles per hour, that threshold begins at 40, it's on its way. It is currently 1,578 kilometers from Flores on the Azores, 3265 from Tiracht Island in Ireland, 3410 from Cork, 3579 from Dublin, and 3604 from Penzance. Of course, there have already been watches and warnings issued, or I should say yellow warnings that have been issued for large parts of the British Isles and for part of coastal regions of Ireland and interior regions in the east and south. So the primary hazard right now is damaging winds, and pardon the imagery because it usually depicts hurricanes, which is what we usually cover, but it's of course a windstorm. It won't look as bad as this, but hurricane force winds are possible along coastal regions of Southern Ireland, with gusts to hurricane force possible along all Irish and Irish Sea coastlines on Wednesday, as well as Western Scotland on Wednesday night, although that could change with the forecast, but that's currently what we're expecting. So this is what we're looking at in the next few days as for its track. There it is, skidding past the Azores very quickly, moving through into Ireland there and into Scotland on Wednesday night, into Thursday, with that green area being the storm force winds, and continuing well towards the northeast towards Norway at the weekend, and it goes off the edge of our map there by the time we get to Sunday, but it dissipates as it reaches the coast of northern Norway. So 35 mile per hour winds, that was depicted by ASCAP much earlier in the day, but we believe it's still around that right now. That graphic there is showing from Meteoran, showing the expectations there getting towards force 9, I think that is there on that chart as it gets close to Ireland on Wednesday, early Wednesday morning there on that chart, and a pressure of 979 according to their forecast. And this is the Met Office at the moment, showing wind and rain warnings, two small flanks of rain warnings within that larger wind warning there in Scotland, and the wind warning extends southwards there all the way to the southwestern part of England, the West Country, and also covering all of Wales and of course Northern Ireland. This is the GFS forecast model. We saw it marked there briefly, and off it goes, really gathering momentum and pace and strength as it gets closer to Ireland there, briefly reaching potentially hurricane force as it gets close to the coast. And if you note there, one or two more systems following in behind that really shows that it's going to be an unsettled period for our region. There it is again, watching it closely, those yellows showing hurricane force winds. They just about die off as it reaches land, but surely we'll probably see some hurricane force gusts at least for parts of Ireland. Looking at the expected rainfall here, this is mock-up radar reflectivity showing the storm's general structure as it moves through, curls out and then pushes through northeastwards, moving at its fastest pace just before it reaches Ireland, at which point it slows down and it continues to move much more slowly over Scotland and out over the North Sea. Watch that loop again and you'll see it here. It's a very quick track up towards the northeast, and watch that second one moving in right behind it, another system, so that's certainly going to be an interesting period there, Wednesday through Friday. Let's take a look at expected rainfall totals for the whole region, and you'll see these colours starting to etch in as the simulation continues there. And over the next 7-day period we'll be looking at some values which will be fairly high, getting up towards 3 or 4 inches, which is nearly 100 millimeters of rainfall there, 2.4 inches there in southeastern Ireland, so generally around 50 to maybe 100 millimeters in a few spots. Cumbria getting a lot of rain, southwestern Scotland, the whole western region there as well, obviously a very wet area normally as well, but most of southern and eastern England there staying fairly dry from this system. Looking at sea surface temperatures, of course it doesn't really impact tropicality or anything like that like we usually look at, but it does go to show that those temperatures are fairly decent for an extratropical cyclone, and it will be something that helps it produce a lot of energy, with those temperatures hovering around 16 degrees Celsius as it gets close to the coast of Ireland, and dropping only to around 14 probably off the northern tip of Scotland. So that's the sea surface temperatures and general climate view there of the whole region, and here's satellite imagery of it right now. So it's only just formed, so it's not looking very good, but you can see the big bulk of it there moving on towards the east around about 45 miles per hour, and it's generally going to move in that direction. We saw that on the forecast earlier, but that's where it is at this moment in time and how much work it's got ahead of it before it reaches the coast of Ireland. But it's going to be very quick, of course. So Wednesday, less than 48 hours away now, so we are going to see some substantial impacts potentially from this storm, and it will be on its way very soon with warnings already in effect. Stay tuned for more updates.